Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Container Corporation of India Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by DAM Capital Advisors. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Bhumika Nair from DAM Capital Advisors. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nirav. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of DAM Capital, I welcome you to the Container Corporation of India 2Q FY22 earnings call. We have the management being represented by Mr. V. Kalyana Rama, the Chairman and Managing Director. Without any further delay, I'd like to hand over the call to him for his initial remarks, post which we can open up the floor for Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bhumika. Thank you for all of you. I'm sorry we got delayed a little bit because of some prayer engagement. And I'm happy to share with all of you that we had a very good quarter two. So in quarter two alone, if I look at Q2, this is the best ever quarter two for the company. In the history of the company, highest operating income and highest PAT. Both we got it in this quarter. The operating income in Q2 is 1,834 crores and the PAT is 264 crores. So these two numbers are the highest ever in the history of the company. And we combine Q1 with Q2 and look at H1. Again, H1 is the best ever H1 for the company in the history again. So this is a very encouraging thing for all of us, for your company. The things are really falling in place. All the measures what we are taking over the years to pick up the market share or increase our efficiency in operations, service to the customers, all are giving results. If I look at it, the volumes what we handled in the H1 compared to the last year base is low, so definitely the trend is very encouraging. The handling and overall handling, we got a growth of around 21% in the handling figures. In EXIM it is 18% and in domestic it is a robust growth with 48%. That is a very encouraging trend. And if you remember, I was mentioning about this domestic segment, how we want to take it forward with the new things we are trying to bring in, like bulk transportation, particularly the movement of goods in bulk in container using flexi bags such as cement, food grains. Food grains we already did around 4 lakh tons last financial year. So in cement we are almost there, finding a solution because the solutions are available, but making it a cost-effective, economical solutions is the challenge here. With these things, our idea, which I shared with you earlier conference calls, that the domestic EXIM segment share used to be 80-20 in this company. 80% of the revenues given by the EXIM and 20% by domestic. We want to make this ratio to 60-40. That is the 5 years target we have kept, and I think we are definitely going towards that because this in H1. If I look at domestic and EXIM share for the revenue, it is 70-30? 29% is domestic. That's what my DF is just giving me the figure. So it's almost 70-30. So as we said, that 60-40. So the dependence on only the EXIM, because in EXIM dependence, as we see now in the first 6 months, the shortage of containers because of the global operations by the liners is affecting us. There is no containers for export. Even though we picked up good numbers, this would have been much better if the container availability was good and there was no shortage. Even after giving excellent schemes to liners, encouraging them to bring in more and more containers to the hinterland, such as 50% rebate on the empty movement of containers from port to hinterland. And then from September onwards, we have added that if any one entity can offer us 10,000 TEUs in a month, we'll give 75% rebate. If they make it 15,000 TEUs, we give 100% rebate, free transit. even then there is shortage, because overall shortage of containers. So our strategy of making domestic also a robust engine of growth and the contributor to the revenues will help in the future of this company. So the target of 60% of EXIM revenues, 40% of domestic revenues in the next 5 years, we are there in the midway with 30-70 now. Going forward, for the next 6 months, if I look at the encouraging trend what we got in the H1 and Q1, Q2. In the beginning of the year, I have given a guidance of 12% growth volume and as well as revenue and 100% growth in fact. I think now we can definitely look forward to getting around 15% growth in the handling and revenue, and that it will be better than 100%. That's what I feel today. So there is a slight upward revision of our guidance now for the year with 15% and volume figures and 15% in revenue, and with 100% plus in fact. Regarding the capex thing, we are progressing well, but not as encouraging because the sector just started because the COVID now I hope the COVID is almost gone, and fingers crossed definitely the India will be out of any third wave forecast, because 100 crore vaccination mark also we crossed yesterday. With this encouraging trend, I think in the next 6 months we will be able to definitely meet our capex target. Mostly the things were not moving because of this COVID and the restrictions of COVID. Now things started looking up. And land license fee, as I made it very clear in the last conference call as well, that it is now fixed. There is no ambiguity in that. The total land license fee for the year is 450 crores. And in the first quarter 1 and quarter 2, we have taken proportionate liability on that, and we have also paid the same amount to railways. So in H1 we paid 225 crores of land license fee. Thank you.
So shall we open the floor for questions?
Yeah, please.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Atul Tiwari from Citigroup. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. Sir, a few days ago, we saw the statement of, I think, Finance Secretary saying that there is still some issue pending with LLF because of which the divestment has been postponed to the next year.
Atul, let me clarify. His statement is there is still something to be decided about the land policy, not land license fee.
Okay. Okay, so nothing is pending from our side, you're saying.
LLF is, as I said very clearly, there is no ambiguity in payment of LLF. It is about land policy for long lease. So that there is some discussion still going on in government, and that, as I said, that is a work in progress, not yet settled. So that is what Finance Secretary was mentioning, where addressing some students.
Okay. And sir, thanks sir. Very clear. And sir, just the originating volumes, if you could share, EXIM and domestic. That's my last question.
Yeah.
Originating volume for Q2 were EXIM 518,986 TU, domestic 90280 TU. Total is 609,266 TU.
609,2?
Choose 66.
Double. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ajinkya Bhatt from Macquarie Group. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. So, two questions from my side. Number one, sir, if you can just comment a little bit on any market share movement in handling volumes in this particular quarter, especially because one of the smaller competitors in North India has reported stronger volume growth and even spoke of market share gains in Delhi NCR market. So that's question one. And secondly, if you could just provide an update on the launch of assured transit time services on DFC, because I know you have launched one with Maersk, which assures 60 hours kind of transit time, whereas another competitor has launched a train service which assures 27 or which gives about 27 hours of transit time. So if you could just explain.
Let us limit our call to the Concor issues. The Concor market share in the market is around 65%. So there is no point in comparing with small players, what they are doing and all. These are all marketing gimmicks. Okay. Let's come to the core question.
Okay, sir. So there isn't any big change in market share that I get. Secondly, the assured transit time services. How do you plan to launch more services and?
We launched a lot of services, transit assurance services from North India to Mundra and Pipavav are doing very well, and we have seen good volumes coming into that. So Dadri exports have picked up. That is the hub where from the transit assured goods normally move to Europe and US. Moradabad also picked up well because the handicrafts are moving from Moradabad. There is good growth in that. So I'll give you the number of double stack trains what we did from Katwa. It is 1,597 trains. This is the highest ever. What we did, the total Katwa double stack handling we did earlier last year is 1,000. So there is 50%.
This was in the quarter, sir? 1,597 in just this quarter or 1H?
6 months, H1. In quarter we did 790.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Ghosh from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Sir, this overall target which you've given for domestic to EXIM of 40 to 60, if you look at the profitability or EBIT, it is a lot different because of the lower profitability in the domestic part of the business. So will that also see a marked improvement with operating leverage and volumes coming back? How should one look at that mix?
See, if I tell you PBT margin based on originating, in EXIM it is 5,400 rupees in this H1 and in domestic it is 5,800 rupees.
Okay.
Now you got answer from?
Okay, so profitability will be maintained even with domestic improving. Okay. And sir, in terms of effective October, have you all taken any price hikes or rationalized prices? Any sense around that?
Yeah, we have given a price hike of $1,000 on every container handled in the terminal for both import and export from October 1st onwards.
Okay. So this is on account of some cost inflation that you're seeing or export-import imbalance. What is that? This will improve the overall margin?
I think we are the conference call. So what we do is we have our own calculation.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir. My first question is, sir, how is the transit time like on export leg and import leg improved like post now starting of operation from DFC for Concor?
Transit time, how it is now. I think less than 60 hours is going.
So transit time, yes. Transit time from Dadri to Mundra, if it goes direct, it is almost 40 hours. And if it goes via CMS Kathuwas, it is around 60 hours. So freight trains have got very good speed now.
See, the assured transit time what we have given to the market is 60 hours from Dadri to Mundra. And mostly 99% containers are reaching within 60 hours.
And can it further come down with further efficiencies in the FP, or this is the best we should be looking at?
Much better than road.
See, as I 60 hours is a very good figure. Okay. So I don't know what is the basis of your question.
No, I mean it used to be 72 hours earlier, or it used to be much.
It used to be 80 hours, 72 hours. We used to say we try for 72 hours, but it used to be 80 hours, 90 hours. Now it is 60 hours, and the exporters are very happy with the 80 hours, 60 hours.
Okay. And sir, can you just highlight on Concor's share at all the ports now?
Ports, yes. Now at JNPT, it is 61.44% for the half year. Mundra it is 44.2%, and Pipavav it is 53%.
Thanks, sir. I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Achal Lohade from JM Financial Service. Please go ahead. Achal, may I request you to unmute your line from your side and go ahead with the question, please? Achal Lohade, we are unable to hear you. May I request you to unmute your line from your side and go ahead with your question, please? Achal, can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry for that. So thank you for the opportunity. My first question is the concession given by the Indian Railways with respect to rebates. Is it possible to quantify what is the total impact on a per TEU broadly at the company level?
Yeah, I think there is no relevance for this. This rebate is continuing from last year, no? So that has now almost is accounted for in the balance sheet. It is 25% rebate on the empty movement.
Right, and 5% on the laden containers, right, sir?
5% on laden containers.
Yes, 5% on laden, yes. It is continuing,
yes.
As already Sir has told, it is already
continuing from last year.
Yes. What I'm trying to also understand is that of the total, benefit, is anything passed on to the customer, or the company is able to retain the same?
Actually, I think you are not following the Concor and asking questions. I'm sorry, man. He announced a rebate scheme at the start of this financial year on April 1st to move empty containers from port to hinterland. Normally, empty movement happens from port to hinterland because of container shortage. This is what this year is going on. We announced a 50% rebate. We got only 25% from railway. So we are giving 25% extra. Even after that, the growth in the numbers show the robustness of the scheme and the marketing effort of that particular scheme on your company. Understand? And this we now extended from September 1st onwards, that if somebody offers us 10,000 TEUs in a month, we will give 75% rebate, and if they offer 15,000 TEUs in a month, it is 100% free. But there are riders attached to it. Those empty containers which come to our place must be exported back from our depot only and on our trains only. If they take away empty container out to use at some other place, then the entire concession what we have given on that container will be collected back. In addition to that, there are some additional charges of almost 3,000 rupees which we charge them. So this scheme is a well-covered scheme. It's giving good dividends. So we are passing on more than what we are receiving from railways, but that is giving good dividends to the company.
Okay, got it. And can you help us with the the rebate for 2Q FY22 and also for the same quarter last year?
Rebate, you want rebate number?
Yeah. Rupees crore, sir.
Yes.
And the empty handling cost, empties cost,
Oh,
if any.
Rebate, how much rebate we pass on to the customer?
Yes, sir. 20.67 crore.
Q2 we passed 20.67 crore and Q1 we passed 26.59 crore.
Right. And the empty handling cost, if at all?
Empty running.
Empty running.
Empty running for this quarter is total is 69.42 crore and the breakup EXIM 23.59 and for domestic 45.83.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask the question. The next question is from the line of Bhumika. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, just wanted to understand, we've really seen a very sharp improvement in the double stack movement in the last couple of quarters. And we've, the first half we done quite well. Now that the DFC is fully, commissioned in September, is there possibility to further increase and, how much more can we see an increase in terms of double stack?
Yeah, DFC actually has been very helpful for running of trains between Kathuwas and Palanpur. Now that 600 kilometers we are able to cover in 10 to 11 hours only. And definitely we will see a good growth, and with a short transit scheme in fully streamlined now on this circuit. So we expect that there will be good growth in H2 also.
Okay. And in terms of, as you said, the transit time itself has reduced from, over 70 odd hours to now 60 hours and lower. Now, how much more improvement can there be? And are we seeing the shift from road to rail?
Yeah, of course, this 60 hours is a very good figure because by road it takes around 70 hours. So we are 10 hours less than road, and we are very competitive because of double stack. So already there is a lot of cargo has shifted from road to rail. And even Maersk is running a retail express train every Wednesday from Dadri, which is all light cargo for Target stores and Walmart for based in US. And it's running full capacity. In fact, we have demand for more such trains from Dadri. So definitely the cargo has shifted from road to rail, and this trend is likely to continue also.
Is there, if you can just talk about how the rail coefficient at all the three ports have moved, and where can this possibly improve to at say JNPT, Pipavav and Mundra?
The JNPT is still not on DFC. So when JNPT comes on DFC, definitely it will see a very good jump in rail coefficient. Otherwise, in Mundra and Pipavav, there is a good growth in rail coefficient. At Mundra, from 25% it has gone to 27% in the first half, and Pipavav from 61% it has gone to 68% in first half. So already these two ports have seen a good growth in rail coefficient.
And sir, if Mundra rail coefficient would be what right now?
27%.
See, Bhumika, I think
yes, sir.
Now everybody is listening. I was telling one of somebody when asking me, some operator announced a dedicated service with Maersk, somebody is talking about doing something with MSC. See, these are all marketing gimmicks. That's what I said then. So these figures now, which everybody listen, that port share, it actually increased for Concord. So there are certain gimmicks happen, and then in the counting of numbers done, somebody tries to show more market share because they do some 100 kilometers transits, 50 kilometer transits, which gives no revenue, neither revenue nor profit, and mostly it is, do some cash profit, but overall it will be a net loss. So those things we don't adapt to. That is why somebody increase show something because these entire statistics is a numbers game. But in original the revenue earning and the margin earning figures, we are picking up the share where it matters.
Yes, fair point, sir. Fair point. So just one thing on domestic, we've clearly seen a very sharp improvement in revenues, volumes handled, and also in terms of the margin profile. Now, obviously, there's still some gap between EXIM and domestic. How much scope do we have to kind of, scale up the domestic margins relatively going ahead?
You are not followed up before asking this question. I have given domestic margin for H1 as 5,000.
Yes, sir.
And 65. And EXIM margin for H1 is 5,322.
Yes, sir. So is this driven?
More than EXIM margin now. We have taken certain measures in domestic, which already, we, in fact, getting good margins this year in domestic. Particularly what we did is we converted all our rates into DLCM rates. That is a technical term. Basically, it is 68 tons carrying capacity. So all domestic rates are now 68 ton carrying capacity rates. And all containers, we procured 24,000 new containers in last 3 years, which can carry 31 ton of payload. So these things help in domestic, picking up good margins, and we pushed our margins. Now, you see, further what can be increased, so that as of now, I think we almost scaled up our margins to a very nice figure of, per container 5,965 rupees. So now the aim of the company is to maintain these margins in domestic sector.
Got it, sir.
Not forget the competition is road, not the other rail operators first.
Okay, sir. So this my last question is on average lead distance for both EXIM and domestic.
What, you personalize this conference call?
No, sir. Last question, sir.
What is the question?
Average lead distance for EXIM and domestic.
Average lead for EXIM for first half is 704 kilometers. Domestic it is 1400 kilometers. Total 793 kilometers.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Makharia from HDFC. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just wanted to ask the price hike which we've taken of 1,000 rupees. Is this over and above the congestion surcharge which we had implemented at TKD?
Yes, this is 1,000 rupees from 1st October.
Not only at TKD.
That is, congestion was only at TKD, but this is on Pan India.
Okay, so TKD, we had taken a surcharge of 5,000 rupees on import containers, if I remember. Is that correct?
Yes, that was long time back.
Okay, so that continues.
Yes, that is fair. That is specific for TKD. Yes, only for TKD.
Okay, and so when do you expect the electric locos to start running on the Palanpur route? I mean, from Rewari to Palanpur? Because I believe we are running on diesel locos now because of the substation not being fully functional.
Yeah. Do you see any advantage by running electric?
So I think, to my limited understanding, sir, you can carry more wagons because the weight carrying capacity goes up and also the speed increases.
Let me tell you, there is no difference as far as we are concerned. If you are not, railway technical man, there is no difference between diesel running and electric.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ajinkya Bhatt from Macquarie Group. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity again. Just one question, sir. In the last 1Q conference call, you had mentioned that with the surrender of terminals, etc., maybe the LLF can also reduce to 375 crores. But right now you mentioned 450 crores and 1H provision has also
I
been.
never said 375 crores, sir. We are maintaining right from our first call after the last financial year, during the financial results. We said this year it will be 450 crores. 375 you might have seen in ET now. Today they are carrying 375. I don't know where from they got the figure. Wrong figure. It is 450 crores LLF, which is we calculated right in the beginning of this financial year, and accordingly we are making the payment.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Vikram Suryavanshi from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Sir, how significant is our India-Nepal volume for us? There was some articles, so thought to get clarification from you. And how is the competitive situation there?
Yeah. The volume and the revenue from Nepal movement used to be, if I put it in percentage terms, maybe used to be around, I think, 1%? Less than 1%. Less than 1%. Even in profit also it is less than 1%. 50 crores. So, yes, there is competition now. The sector opened up. So, we announced the competitive rates there. So, we got our long-term strategy of doing something with the Nepal movement. So, it is insignificant materialistically on the balance sheet.
Got it. And can we get what was the empty running cost for this quarter in terms of rupees crore for EXIM and domestic?
So it is for this quarter 23.51 crore is for EXIM and 45.83 crore for domestic, and total is 69.42 crore. And this is lesser than Q1 of this current financial year.
And sir, last question to repeat. Sorry for repeating, but I missed the originating volume. So can you just
for Q2 it is EXIM 518,986. Domestic it is 90280. Total 609,266.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhalchandra Shinde from Kotak Mahindra Life Insurance.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, based on DFC, how much more growth prospects we see, and how much we are yet to see the growth prospects when the DFC becomes fully operational? And in next 2-3 years, what kind of a growth traction we see in DFC?
The DFC gives the transit assurance and as well as less transit time. So the things started slowly picking up. As we have given the guidance with the DFC become operational, now it is operational for 2 ports, Mundra and Pipavav. So with this, the growth what we are expecting will be around 10% on overall volumes. Now, DFC becoming fully operational is connecting Dadri as well as JNPT. So that may be any time. So what the official targets given is, I think, next year, July. But I don't want to comment on that. But whenever that happens, there will be further growth of 10 to 15% on overall volumes. Now, I am talking about overall volumes. That is different than what growth we get in this sectoral volumes of north-west sector. On an overall volume scenario for Concor, it will be 10% more now, and when the entire DFC is completed, there will be further growth of 10 to 15%.
Sure, right. And so we started with this new services, truck on train service. Do we see incremental growth because of that, or it will only address whatever the market share we might have lost to the road?
I did not get your question. You are talking about RoRo?
Yeah, I mean truck and train services which we started
Ro-Ro.
on
That's called Ro-Ro. See, Ro-Ro is a different market. Ro-Ro has nothing to do with the container transport market. So there is no correlation between that and this.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankita Shah from Elara Capital PLC. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So just one thing. I remember in the last call you had mentioned that there could be a possibility of taking a short-term loan of 3,500 crores for making one-time payment of LLF fees to railways for the 24 terminals that we have. Is there any update on that?
See, that is what somebody asked me, the finance secretary made some comment about the land. That's precisely this. The land policy is still under finalization with the cabinet. Unless that land policy is finalized. So this issue will be work in progress only. Once that is completed, then this long leasing of these 24 terminals for 35 years with upfront payment will be discussed.
Okay.
So the estimates what I have given is, if that happens, this would have been the figure. So let the cabinet decision come.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shrinidhi Karlekar from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, can you share us the rail freight margin for this quarter?
Rail freight margin for this quarter is 28.33%.
28.33, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. And sir, a bit of hypothetical question. Apologies in advance for that. Sir, you alluded that unavailability of container did impact your volumes. You could have done much better volumes. Sir, just is it possible to quantify a bit, like how much higher volume would have been possible if situation would not have been bad? And sir, at the margin, is the situation improving for you?
Is the situation improving now or what margin improving?
Yeah. So in Q2 compared to what you faced during the Q3 compared to Q2?
Things are, you see, now imports started coming to India, so we expect that, because see, India till before pre-COVID, it was import-heavy country. We used to get more containers in imports than what we used to export. So there used to be empty repositioning out of India. Now, we are getting less imports and we are doing more exports. So we are having shortage of containers. Now, if you ask me off the cuff remark on what would have been additional numbers, maybe 10% we lost in export volumes. So that basically 10% on export means 10% on the handling also, because either empty containers would have moved or imports would have moved. So if the situation was not having any container shortage, you would have got another 10% extra volumes in exit. So instead of growth of 18%, it would have been 28%. Now Q3, Q4, let me not make any guess. I hope things should be better, because now the economy is picking up.
Fair enough, sir. Thank you for answering my question, sir, and all the very best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Lokesh Garg from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Basically, referring to earlier question wherein you shared the pickup that could happen on back of DFCC. What you shared is that basically there is 10% type extra growth, extra to sector, that has happened on back of DFCC portion which is already operational. And perhaps there is additional 10 to 15% that could happen once remaining portion of the DFCC gets connected. Which I sort of just rephrase, say that basically Mundra rail coefficient moved to...
Listen to my answer, yeah. Don't try to put my answer in your own words. I said the growth expected because of the DFC connectivity with Mundra Pipavav is 10% on the overall volumes. That is a work in progress. I never said that already growth has come. Now the growth started picking up. The effect of this will be 10% growth in the volumes. So that we will see. We are seeing the growth in volumes. And once the complete DFC is met, there will be impact that another 10-15% growth will come. So this will not be, today we have not achieved it. It is coming, picking up. The traffic is picking up.
Sure. So I was referring to earlier data shared in the call, wherein you said that Mundra rail coefficient has moved from 25 to 27 and Pipavav from 61 to 68. So I was linking the two together, saying that some part of it has been achieved already.
Oh, I agree with you. That's what I'm telling you. It's a work in progress. If you say that 10% is achieved, no, it's not achieved. It will be achieved. That is the potential of the DFC connectivity to Mundra and Pipavav.
Sure. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Ohri from Progressive Share Brokers Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. One question which is related to the speech which was in the AGM. You touched upon saying that you all are moving towards implementing artificial intelligence. So, sir, can you take us through what are these emerging technologies and how will it benefit us?
The artificial intelligence is giving the customer data completely online and real time about their operations in our terminal. So there, when we do this, we use artificial intelligence in understanding customer preferences and the customer needs. So there are two steps in this program. One is providing the customer time visual data to look at the operation being carried out on their cargo. So there will be no revenue, the leakage of cargo anywhere. The company will never be blamed about wrong handlings or anything because the customer can visualize whatever operations we are doing with their cargo. And when we process the cargo within the terminal, there are a lot of operations happens in the terminal. We'll put them into a bonded warehouse, take it out, stuff it, or we unload and some space is occupied. So our operations we now optimize based on the analysis of all these things through AI. So AI is used to optimize the things, optimize the operations within the terminal.
Okay, sir. So we are looking at reducing the human errors is what you're saying.
Yeah, human error, increase in efficiency, increase in transparency, increase in customer satisfaction. And these are all not directly, you will not quantify them, but there are all the factors for increasing the share and attracting more customers.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
That catalyst for the business growth.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Thanks for the opportunity again. What would be the volume mix at the ports during the quarter for CONCOR?
Yeah, it is JNPT 32%, Mundra Port 39%, Pipavav Port 10%, Vizag 7%, Chennai 6%, and others are very small volume.
Okay. And sir, on CAPEX, we maintain the 500 crore CAPEX guidance for the year?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thanks, sir. These are my questions.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Aditya from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thanks for the opportunity. I had one question on the transit time from Dadri to JNPT. Once JNPT is fully on DFC, what will be the kind of improvement in transit times that you are envisaging?
Right now it is around 35 to 40 hours, But after the JNPT comes on DSP, it will be in the range of 24 hours.
Okay. And the second question, and is this the reason why the market would start growing for you, and the 10-15% growth comment, is it more on the basis of better transit time?
This is one of the major reasons.
Understood. And I again want to kind of clarify, when you say that 10% growth will happen because of DFC, because of Mundra and Pipavav becoming online, and then 15% add-on, are you suggesting that there would be a 25% growth in fact in all from DFC?
See, that growth will be DFC giving the better transit, shifting the cargo shifting from road to rail, and the natural growth which will come in India because of various government programs announced, and we expect them to give good results like Make in India and some manufacturing hubs shifting from other countries into India, and all these things will put together, we expect this growth. So if you look at the modal share in India today, it is 20% by rail and 80% by road. And the government always wants the modal share to shift at least 40% to rail. So that's a huge shift which government is also working on. So all these things will give the growth.
Thank you, sir. Those are my questions.
I think, moderator, I think if there are no further questions, we can call for the conference, closure of the conference.
So we have one last question.
Yes.
The next question is from the line of Achal Lohade from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up opportunity. Just wanted to ask, in terms of the MMLPs, how much of the work is still pending, and B, how do we see the contribution? When can we see the contribution starting from, MMLPs? I'm talking ex-Kathuwas because Kathuwas is already kind of reflected what I understand, but for the all other MMLPs, sir.
So your question is about MMLPs, new MMLPs?
Yeah, in terms of the MMLPs, are we, where are we in terms of the construction and commissioning, and B, the revenue contribution of, profit contribution, if any?
I think it is answered many times in my conference call. See, what we do is, whatever we develop, we do a phase-wise commercial use of those developments. We don't wait for the MMLP to be completed. So when our work in progress is very less. Normally we don't keep it. We are doing a 500 crores capex every year. Our work in progress will not be more than 200 crores. So that means we do capitalize and we do commercial exploitation of the partially finished projects also. So I can't give you this figure, what will be the growth in that figure and all. That is this natural growth, whatever is coming and all, there's many factors helping into it. So as of now, we are trying to develop around 6 to 8 new facilities. There were some issues because of the COVID, stoppage in work because of the COVID restrictions. Now they are picking up. So very soon we will be coming up 1 or 2 in Orissa, and 1 in Gujarat, they are going to start. So they will give again further growth to the company.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Bhumika Nair for closing comments.
Yes, I would thank the management for giving us an opportunity to host the call. Thank you very much, sir, for answering all the questions very patiently, and to all the participants for being there on the call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of DAM Capital Advisors, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines.